What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Opinion. And we got to talk about it, the Oklahoma Sooners, and what I believe the Oklahoma Sooners are going to do in the 2024 season. But before I get there, let's backtrack just a little bit, because all offseason long, we've had to listen to Vegas throw out, numbers such as 7.5 over under Oklahoma's win schedule. People like J.D. Pickell, he thinks Oklahoma's going to go 6-6. People like Josh Pate, he thinks Oklahoma's going to go 8-4. And the list goes on and on and on. And yes, Oklahoma has a new quarterback, new offensive line. We get it. This offensive line has not played together. It's not necessarily that you're getting guys that hadn't played. It's just guys that hadn't played together. And then the biggest thing, how is Jackson Arnold going to be? All those things are, to be determined as well. But the main thing people throw out there is the schedule. And the one thing that almost everyone is saying is that if Oklahoma can go 8-4 with this schedule, well, Oklahoma should feel really good about where things are headed. And I'm here to tell you, Sooners fans, do not fall for the okie doke. And what is the okie doke? The okie doke is letting them tell you that if Oklahoma goes 8-4, you should feel really good about where things are headed. And I'm here to tell you that don't fall for it, because at the end of the day, when it comes to programs like Oklahoma, we're not talking about a program that won 1 or 2 games a year ago. We're talking about Oklahoma. When it comes to big time programs, when have the talking heads ever came out and told you, hey, I really thought that such and such, this 8-4 team, whoever that may be, I really thought this 8-4 team was really good. They just had a hard schedule. They're not going to come out and tell you that. So give you an example. If Oklahoma went 8-4 and beat Texas, and Texas went 11-1 or 10-2, they're in Texas has obviously a much easier schedule. They're not going to tell you that Oklahoma was better than Texas. They're going to tell you Texas is better, despite the schedule. So it doesn't really matter. So at the end of the day, don't fall for the okie doke, because they don't believe what they're saying. And to give you an example of this, let's say you had a team going into the last game of the regular season who was 7-4, playing against a team that was 10-1. Okay. And the 7-4 team has played a difficult schedule, and the 10-1 team has played an easy schedule. Vegas and the talking heads are going to favor that 10-1 team despite the schedule. They're not going to come out and tell you, oh, I really think this 7-4 team is better. They just played a difficult schedule. What they're going to tell you is, hey, this 7-4 team maybe can pull an upset because maybe they're playing at home. But if they're not playing at home, then I don't think they can pull the upset. And the 10-1 team is better. So I'm going to leave that there. So like I said, don't fall for the okie doke. If Oklahoma fans wanted to be satisfied with 8-4, then Oklahoma fans ought to just switch from being Oklahoma fans and go be an A&M fan or Missouri fan, because that's what they do over there. They celebrate 8-4. Oklahoma fans do not celebrate 8-4 seasons in Norman. I don't care what conference Oklahoma's playing in as well. But let's get into this team right here. So in the 2024 season, this is an Oklahoma team that I believe returns 8 starters on defense, and they return all of their backups and their backups as well. They picked up Dominic Williams, which was a highly coveted defensive tackle, in the transfer portal. So we already know all this as well. So based on reports from guys that have actually seen practice, guys that have actually watched scrimmages, not the J.D. Pickells and the Josh Pates and others who haven't seen anything. They're just going off of last year. And one of the things you have to remember is last year is just that. It's last year. And 9 times out of 10, college players get better from one year to the next. Now, it's up to coaches to take that individual talent and make it gel together. But college players get better from one year to the next. So when you look at Oklahoma's players from 2022 to 2023, several of them got better, and I would expect them to take that jump once again. So on the defensive side of the ball, the reports out of Norman is that the defense looks really good, and that this possibly could be, the best defense Oklahoma has had in the last 10 years. Well, I'm going to go back further than that. I'm going to say that this Oklahoma defense turns the clock back, and you're going to see a 2002, 2003 style defense. I just don't see any other way. When you have the players like Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, Robert Spears Jennings, Danny Stutzman, Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, R. Mason Thomas on the defensive line. You got Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams. You got Dejon Terry. The list goes on and on. And out of all these names that I mentioned, the one name that nobody ever seems to mention, but we know he's Mr. Reliable. He's going to get a lot of snaps. And that is Kendall Dolby coming in at the nickel position as well. And then you've got people like Jacoby Johnson, who I expect to have a really big season playing one of the corner spots for Oklahoma. And then you've got Gentry Williams, who by all accounts, if Gentry Williams has a really good season, this guy could potentially be, a first or second round pick as well. So I think Oklahoma is loaded on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that this defense is going to be the anchor and obviously the lead position of this team. Let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball. Yes, Jackson Arnold is a new quarterback, but I can promise you this. I'm not worried about Jackson Arnold, folks. When I first discovered who Jackson Arnold was, I was watching a high school football game here in Texas, and I didn't even know who Jackson Arnold was. I was actually at the game to watch Cade Klubnik. It was the state championship game, Denton Guyer versus Austin Westlake. And I was actually there to watch Cade Klubnik, and Jackson Arnold happened to catch my eye. I didn't even know who he was, didn't know he was ranked. True story. And so I say all that to say when you can go to a football game and someone else catches your eye and you weren't even there to watch them, that tells you that they're pretty good players. So I'm not worried about Jackson Arnold. The offensive line, I mean, since Bill Beatonbow's been there, when has Oklahoma ever had a bad offensive line? I mean, it's almost, and I'm not comparing here, but think about, like, if you make the reference to Nick Saban. When Nick Saban really got things going at Alabama, he never had a bad team. He never lost 3 games in the regular season. So you liken that to just Bill Beatonbow's position. When has Bill Beatonbow ever had a bad offensive line? Now, yes, he's had some offensive lines that maybe didn't start as far ahead as some of the others, but all of his offensive lines throughout the season, they get better and better as the season goes. And he's never had a bad offensive line. So although, yes, they are replacing 4 new starters, yes, they're going to the SEC, yada, yada, yada. We've heard it before. But Bill Beatonbow has never put out a horrible offensive line that's just getting blitzed and can't hold up in the pass game, in the run game. If anything, Bill Beatonbow's put out some offensive lines that maybe they don't run block as well in the early part of the season. But as the season goes, that run blocking gets better. But pass blocking has always been good as well. And then you look at the running backs, Gavin Sawchuk, and then expect Javonte Barnes to get back to his old self. And if Javonte Barnes gets back to his old self, I really don't know who the best running back on the team is between Gavin Sawchuk and of course, Javonte Barnes. Now, they did lose Jaden Gibson, not Jaden Jackson. Sorry, Jaden Gibson. They did lose Jaden Gibson for the season, but I think Oklahoma is loaded at receiver. If there was any position to lose a player this early for the season, it would be wide receiver. It's unfortunate for Jaden Gibson, but they are loaded at wide receiver. So my prediction for Oklahoma is I think Oklahoma's going to go 11-1. I know that's a hot take, but I truly believe that this team is going to go 11-1, and I think they're going to go 11-1 because of the defense. I think the defense is going to be that good. When you look at most of these players, a lot of these players that are playing on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of these players are in their 3rd year in Brent Venables' system. So they should have his system down from A to Z by this point. Brent Venables has instilled the culture that he wants to have at Oklahoma in this team. And even the players that this may not be their 3rd year starting, players like Robert Spears Jennings and others, and Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis, but they have been in the Brent Venables system now for 3 years. And if you look at where Oklahoma's defense was when Brent Venables first got to Oklahoma, horrific. I think they ranked in the 120s or something like that. And if you look at where it went from 2022 to 2023, I expect that defense to take a major jump. Now that you've got a defensive coordinator such as Zach Alley, who Brent Venables taught, by the way, so you have 2 coordinators or 2 coaches are really on the same page, rather. And I really expect this team to go 11-1. I don't think that there's going to be an offense that they play against who they're not going to be ready for. It was no mistake last year that Oklahoma had, I think they led the nation in interceptions. They were the second in forced turnovers. I would expect that to continue again. And I know people have said, Jackson Arnold's turned it over a little bit in practice, but hey, look at the defense he's going against. That defense turned people over, and I expect them to do it again. I mean, they did it last year. They're going to do it to Jackson Arnold. That's just how good that defense is. But the one thing is that, the offense has gotten better and better as training camp has gone along. And when that offense goes out there to play against other defenses, I don't really think they're going to see many other defenses as good as, some defenses in the SEC are. I don't think they're going to see other defenses top to bottom. They may see certain units, maybe a secondary, maybe the linebacking core, maybe a defensive line, but they're not going to see top to bottom what they go against in practice every day. So I know that is a hot take, but I believe it is. If healthy, Jackson Arnold stays healthy. Obviously, if he doesn't stay healthy, then, hey, all bets are off. You're not supposed to win if your starting quarterback goes down. But if Jackson Arnold stays healthy and, obviously, with any team, you got to stay healthy. If the majority of their defensive players, key players, stay healthy, I believe this team can go 11-1 and get in the playoffs. And then after that, we will see what happens from there. I know the schedule's difficult, but hey, at the end of the day, any good team that's played a difficult schedule, the schedule does not slow them down. And I expect Oklahoma to have a breakout year under Brent Venables as well. So just based on the reports that I'm hearing from guys who they weren't even hyping up the defense like this last year. So when you got guys like Dusty Dvorak who call it like it is, when you got guys like Teddy Lehman who call it like it is, I have to believe that basically there is something to that. So 11-1 is my prediction. I know that's a hot take because it goes against, the people that a lot of you all listen to, but a lot of the people that you all listen to, they don't really have the inside sources. They don't have eyes in on practice. They don't really project in terms of where a team was last year and project individual players to get better from where they were last year. They simply just make their predictions off of what they saw last year. And what you have to understand is these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. They're still getting better and better. These aren't 30, 35, 36, and 37-year-old kids where father time's catching up to them and they're getting worse. 9 times out of 10, college players do get better. And I expect Oklahoma's players to get better with the combination of also being better in Brent Venables' system as well. So that's my take. I think Oklahoma goes 11-1. What do you think their record will be? What do you think Oklahoma's record will be this season? Is my take too high? Am I too optimistic? I don't think so. I think I know exactly what I'm talking about, but leave your comments down below. And other than that, I'm out.